Welcome back, guys, to the Moonjuice Metal Horror Podcast, the podcast where we live and breathe heavy metal and horror, but are not afraid to shit on both of them. So, Matt, here we are again, our 7th episode.
That was like that was Mike's like 4th try, but thank God we were recording that time and he got it right. Oh, good dude. I mean, I fuck it up in my head every time I go to say it when we start recording, and then somehow it comes out right, but it's only because I'm really trying fucking hard.
Yeah.
So what movie are we doing today, Mike?
Today we're doing Friday the 13th. I mean, this is like the ultra classic, you know, the movie that created Jason, no? Even though he's not even in this fucking movie or barely at all, no?
Yeah, he's not. Like
Yeah.
the original Friday the 13th it was pitched as a, hey, Halloween is doing really good, because at the time that this movie came out, the first Halloween movie had come out and it just created spider webs throughout like the world of horror, and everybody was talking about it, and it made a shit ton of money. And so Sean Cunningham decided, and he wasn't quiet about it either. Like if you go back and look at like some of the things he said, he actually said we wanted to directly rip off Halloween. Like that's what he says.
Yeah.
Because they wanted the success of the Halloween film, but they wanted to have their own kind of story. And when you watch this movie, it doesn't necessarily feel like a ripoff of Halloween at all.
No, not
Even
really.
though that's kind of what they were going for.
I mean, it's a slasher movie, of course, but it never felt like a ripoff to me. I also, I had to admit, I was never a major Halloween fan because I don't know, Halloween never really fazed me much. And yeah, for me, it was more Friday the 13th that I liked. Yeah. So how should I say it? I don't know.
Would we say that this is the first slasher film? Because I have my opinions on that.
The
Right?
first slasher film.
Yeah, well, it depends on what you consider a slasher. What do you consider a slasher film?
A slasher film, in my opinion, is, well, basically just a horror movie where you have a typical murderous figure, if that's being a normal person or some kind of demonic thing, that basically just run around and kills people, mostly with some sharp weapon, or just ripping their guts out or something like that. That's what I see as a typical slasher film.
Okay, so with that logic, would you consider Halloween a slasher film? Like the first one?
First one, no? I would definitely have to rewatch it. As far as I remember, how the Halloween movies, yes, I would consider them to be a little bit slasher, but I mean, I would say I would consider them mainly thrillers than slashers, yeah. Because
yeah, so here's the thing, like for me, slasher films they're gory, right? They're gory. There's blood, there's gore. Like you look at the kills and you're like, fuck. For me, that's a slasher film. Before this movie, there was Halloween. Yeah. Halloween literally has almost no blood in it. You don't see the kills happen. You don't see blood. You just kind of sort of see the kills, right? Before this was The Town That Dreaded Sundown, which was arguably one of the first slasher flicks, but even then you didn't get a whole lot of blood. So there's a reason I'm setting up this argument, because this movie was arguably the first to show up close and personal kills with a lot of blood. First slasher film, right? And for that reason, it's been recorded that when this movie came out, and much like Alien 2, which also came out around the same time, people were getting up and walking out of the theaters. You hear that now for movies like Terrifier and stuff, but I don't really believe that. I think that's more of like just media hype. But at this time, when people saw this movie, including my mom, they had never seen anything like it before. And they were like, what the fuck am I watching? This is not film. I'm leaving. And people were getting up and leaving the theaters. And that's the only reason I bring that up. So this movie for modern audiences now is tame, very tame, and a little bit boring. But that's only because we've gone like way overboard with horror movies and gore, and slasher films are now basically splatter. Like it's just over the top gore. Yeah. This is not that, and this for modern audiences could be a little bit boring just because you've come to gotten used to what people are doing now in movies. But for the time, this was like disgusting, you know? So I would argue this is the first actual slasher film. Just my take. And for a movie that kind of wanted to cash in on the success of Halloween, they did that, but tenfold, because this movie made a shit ton of money
More
on
than
a meager
Halloween, I
budget.
think, or
Huh?
it made more than Halloween.
It
Friday
made a
the
lot more
13th.
than Halloween. And
Yeah,
also
yeah.
the franchise itself, all the movies that it spawned after this, has still made more than Halloween.
Yeah.
So, I mean, arguably, they got done what they wanted to get done. And this is where modern audiences now would have completely shredded this film, because there are a lot of things that happen here uh, that don't make sense with the second movie, the third movie, the fourth movie, whatever. Continuity in
Mm.
these is completely fucking shot. It's terrible. Like, the continuity is awful.
Yeah.
Modern audiences would have ripped it apart. But because this is kind of the first of its kind and we didn't have the internet at that time, people didn't rip it to
Yeah.
shreds. They just went to go see it and people loved it. So yeah, Friday the 13th, the first one. So it's kind of one of those things where we need to kind of say spoilers. I mean, I kind of figure if you're watching and listening to this horror podcast, there's no reason to say that, because I would assume by now you've seen Friday the 13th and you know who the
Yeah,
killer is.
yeah. The thing is, I
Uh,
mean, I would say, Matt, that's kind of a ridiculous thing. I mean, no, I wouldn't say we're gonna say spoilers, and it would be different if it was like a new movie that just came out in the theaters. Then it would make sense to say here, no, they're spoilers, but we probably are going to do one or two new movies that are just in the cinemas. No, it makes
yeah.
sense to put a spoiler warning in that, but I mean, a movie that's 40 years old. I mean, come on. No, I'm not going to put. I'm not going to put a spoiler into a 40-year-old movie.
So how many people though would you guess? I mean, there's probably not a number. I wouldn't guess a number, but how many people have you heard that they're asked? And they even did this in the first Scream film. One of the questions that Ghostface asks the first victim in the first movie is, who was the original killer of Friday the 13th? And she gets the answer wrong. She says Jason, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Because Friday the 13th is synonymous with Jason. Completely. Nobody thinks about Pamela Voorhees at all.
Of course.
But she is the original
Yeah,
killer
yeah.
in this movie. And holy shit, that threw audiences for a fucking loop with this film. Like, that's one of the things you can read about the write-ups people wrote, is that they did not expect up until the very end that it was Jason's mom. Not at all.
Yeah.
Like, there are clues given throughout this movie and red herrings the entire time about who the killer could be. And I tried to go back and watch it that way, to where I obviously can't forget that Pamela Voorhees is the original killer, but at the same time, I wanted to be like, okay, so if I was watching this for the first time, would I be shocked? And the answer is yeah. Nobody sees it coming, because
yeah.
you think the whole time that somebody that you've seen on screen is the killer the whole time. And they
Yeah,
do things in this movie to make you think with every kill that it's a certain person. Like a
Yeah.
piece of clothing is shown or something like
Yeah.
that one of the other characters is wearing. So you think it's one of them. And then at the end, you're kind of blown away by the fact that, hey,
Yeah.
who's this character I haven't seen yet? And she was the
Yeah, yeah.
killer.
Yeah, but that's also the thing. Also, the thing is, of course, it's the what you just said. But if a lot of people now, modern audiences that might not have seen Friday the 13th, and there are probably multiple of them, no? Everybody knows Jason, so everybody is going to go into this movie, no? Not even questioning if it's Jason, just, hey, when is Jason going to show up? And then towards the end of the movie, people find out it's actually his mom. It's like, what the fuck? Yeah, exactly.
Total mindfuck for like audiences that have never seen it, like the first people that ever saw it, and then people now who may have never seen it that go back. If nobody says anything, to find out that Pamela Voorhees is the killer, it's like, anyway. Okay, so this movie, it opens in 1958, so we don't get like a modern opening. We get, hey, 1958, Camp Crystal Lake, this is what happened to start all this. And the film opens with a bunch of like counselors sitting around a fire singing songs inside of a cabin at some camp, right? Camp Crystal Lake. And two of the campers sneak away to go fuck, right? No big surprise.
Yeah, to go bang. Yeah.
Yeah, they sing their song.
Yeah, it's going to happen often in this movie.
Right. This is a central theme, and always will be a central theme in every Friday the 13th film that comes. If you have sex or you do drugs, you're fucking dead, right? Like, as long as you keep your crotch rocket in your pants, you're safe. As long as you don't light up a joint, you're safe. You're fine. So these kids go away to fuck. The first two kills we get are these two kids that sneak away to go have sex. Um,
Yeah.
the first guy gets stabbed in the stomach, although you don't see it. You just see him kind of grip his stomach and there's blood.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the
Yeah.
second girl, the girl that's with him gets killed too, but it's a freeze frame, so you don't see her death, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
interesting fact, there was actually a filmed kill, but they were looking for something in the film to cut because the film was too long and they didn't feel like it was needed. So they cut that part out to save budget and time and just had a
Yeah.
freeze frame on her, right? And the last thing that you get from that 58 scene is Claudette, which is the girl's name that gets killed. You see her face, it freeze frames, and then you get the Friday the 13th logo flash across the screen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right, so that's the opening of the film. Immediately after that, it jumps to present day, June 13th, 1980. Annie, who is this is sort of a red herring too, right? So Annie is a young woman hitchhiking to Camp Crystal Lake because she's supposed to be their cook.
Yeah.
So they kind of hint at the fact that this camp is reopening, right? And that's why she's going there, because she's going to be their cook. She walks into a diner, and the locals in the diner are kind of like, what are you doing? Who are you? Why
really
are you
wanna
going
go
up
there?
there?
Yeah.
You're going to Camp Blood? Yeah, it's
Yeah.
they've already named the Camp Blood because of what's happened. And at this time, we may only know that two people have died, and that was in 1958. But one of the locals decides to give her a ride because it's about 20 miles to the camp. An older guy. So he offers to give her a ride. She gets in the car with him and starts heading up that way. The whole time he's telling her, hey, it wasn't just those two deaths. There was another death. There were some other deaths.
Yeah.
The
And
area is not
yeah,
something that people around
the
here really
deaths.
like. They don't like the camp.
And the thing is, the one death the one death that the guy this driver tells Annie is actually hinting Jason's death. You know, well, he's not dead, but people assume that he drowned. No, and that is one of the deaths that is being hinted
Yeah.
at this point. Yeah.
Yeah, there's multiple deaths that have happened up here. Jason being one of them. But there's no context for his death there at all.
No.
At that point, you just think he's some kid that got killed at the camp too. Like, whatever. So she's heading up there with him. Before she gets in the car with him, we meet Crazy Ralph.
Crazy Ralph, yeah, I remember that guy. Yeah, he just that's funny thing. I mean, this is like totally fucking random in the movie. It's like, how the hell does this guy know where she's going? It's just some young person, and he just randomly rocks up to her, and what? You're going to Camp Blood? Yeah, Camp Blood, baby. That's where you're going. What the fuck is this shit?
First, right? So what bothers me about this is you don't fucking see this crazy fucking lunatic anywhere. Like he's not in the diner where they had this conversation. She literally walks around the corner with the guy who's offered to drive her up there, and he pops out of nowhere and is like, "Oh, you're not going to Camp Blood, are you? There's a difference." Why was this needed?
Yeah,
This character has no bearing on anything in the film other than another jump scare later. That's it.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm sure about that, but the thing is, I mean, they should have at least. I mean, because the character was totally fucking random, they should have just put him later into the movie just for comic relief. Because it's just like the way he's saying it, he just randomly comes out of the corner. Hey, baby, are you going to Camp Blood? Oh yeah.
The other thing is he's not a very good actor. Like there's nothing that he does that is believable. Like you look at this guy when he says this stuff and you're like, God, man, they could have gotten somebody so much better than this dude. The thing is, and this is what I'm thinking, I kind of looked it up to see if there was like any behind the scenes stuff. I thought maybe this guy is a crazy local. Maybe he's a crazy local for the town where they're filmed. They were like, hey, dude, you want to be in this movie? Because you're perfect. But anyway, he says his stupid, hey, don't go up there. It's got a death curse, whatever. She gets in the car with the guy and they start driving up there.
Yeah.
So he's only offered to take her half of the way. He doesn't take her the whole way. So he lets her out of the car and she basically walks the rest of the way. So after he lets her out, we get an introduction to the other camp counselors that are there, right? They're already at the camp. the new counselor getting things ready for the reopening. So they're reopening this camp after all the deaths that happened there.
Yeah.
We assume it happened 1958, and then a couple of years after that, and then eventually they closed the place down. Well, these counselors are reopening it. And by the way, there's like no fucking renovations done on this camp, and it opens in a day. Did you notice that?
Yeah. Yeah. Everything looks
It's
like shit. Yeah.
it looks like shit. Like
Yeah,
there's
but
no world where I'm gonna let I don't have but uh what brochure did they send the parents? Because I guarantee you this place doesn't look anything like what's on the brochure that the parents are getting. Because this place
probably not.
looks like it's been vacant for 30 fucking years.
Yeah, yeah, that's what it looks like. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, but the thing is also when you have like those counselors coming up,
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Pretty much around that time, you have this ridiculous scene where you see this car driving up, and Kevin Bacon and two of the other people are in there. I think there's actually before Kevin Bacon was actually a very well known star. No, but
Yeah.
you see them driving down the road, and you have like this Cotton Eye Joe shit, playing on the radio, where you're like. I just threw that. I mean, for a very long time, pretty much halfway through the movie, because of this fucking scene, I had to think of Cotton Eye Joe. Because he had like this typical banjo music going.
Fucking banjo music. They're driving down the street in this fucking pickup truck. It's I had to ask myself, I was like, okay, so if you cut the first death scene because of time, then why not cut this scene? Because it makes no sense. There's no dialogue in this scene that helps the movie along in any way. It's just them traveling down the road in this fucking truck with this god awful banjo music in the background. So this is where we get to meet these guys when they show up with the truck. The group consists of Alice, who's the main protagonist, Bill, Brenda, Ned, Jack, and Marcy. Steve Christie, who is the camp owner, he's the guy that automatically made you and me both think that this was a softcore porn, right?
Exactly, because this guy looks like every fucking stereotypical 80s porn star you've seen. Like literally he has like this, I don't know, stupid haircut, then these typical porno glasses, and a porn mustache. Every single male porn star in this area looked exactly like this fucking dude, and he's sitting wearing nothing fucking else but what looks to me like fucking 80s hot pants.
Funny story, the actor was actually dressed that way. And they were like, yeah, just leave that on. We'll film the scene. No, that's actually how he was dressed. That is not a costume. That's the way that guy dresses. I just thought that was funny. And yeah, you could argue, if you look at the whole film, right? You can argue that this is a softcore porn with kills. Is that fair? It's
fair. Yeah, you could absolutely, because
it's fair. Like for if you took the kills out of it and you made it to where it wasn't a horror film, if you just like went into this movie and cut the kills out and cut anything else out, it would be a softcore porn. This would be one of those things that was on Cinemax back in like the fucking 80s.
Absolutely. I mean, you could literally. This is no shit. You could literally, just like we said, turn this into a soft core porn movie by just cutting out the kills and revoicing specific scenes. It would be porn straight up.
Yeah, porn. So Steve Christie is the guy who owns the camp. He's the guy that wears the booty shorts, and is blatantly hitting on fucking Alice like bad. I'm not sure how much older this guy is than everybody else, but he looks like he's at least in his mid-30s, right? Got to be mid-30s. Yeah. These kids are 16 and 17. Like, there's not a one of them that's over 17 years old. This guy's just blatantly hitting on them. So I'm like, creepy factor is like 10 for this guy.
Yeah. Well, at least they're supposed to be 16, 17, but you can clearly see each one of these actors is in their mid-20s. I mean, so... Yeah.
Well, that's the way it always works with every horror film. They're always supposed to be younger than they actually look. But for film purposes, they're 16, 17 years old. Because most of them, this is their summer break from high school. So they're fucking high school kids. So basically the group flirts, jokes around, and explores the campgrounds, right? Annie, meanwhile, after we get this introduction to everybody, Annie is on her journey up to the camp. So The driver has let her out, and she's walking with her big backpack on the way up. Now, I don't know how you felt about this, but the way they introduced her character and the way that she's set into all the scenes at the beginning, you think that she's the main character,
Yeah, of
right?
course. Yeah,
Did you
yeah.
get that?
I mean, yeah, of course. The way I agree with you. I mean, the way it's set up after the intro, the way she's walking around, and everything, it does actually kind of introduce her as the main protagonist. You
Yeah.
know? Yeah,
And
and
so
yeah,
maybe this is our first instance in a horror film where you get the red herring of the person that you think is the main character getting offed right at the beginning. This is
yeah,
something that Scream did, the first Scream film, and I think they took it directly from Friday the 13th because with
yeah, yeah,
Scream, you get the opening scene with Drew Barrymore. She's introduced, you get to like the character a little bit, and then she gets the phone call.
yeah,
10 minutes after that, she's murdered brutally and hanging in a tree. And that's the only other film I can think of out of the plethora of horror films that I've seen that actually does this well. Like they do it really well.
yeah,
It's not done poorly. Um so she's picked up by an unseen driver in a Jeep. Now this is
mm,
also kind of a red herring because the Jeep that she's picked up in looks exactly like Steve Christie's Jeep.
yeah,
Do you notice that?
mm,
Like they did
yeah,
that on purpose because I think you're supposed to think the whole time that Steve is probably the killer.
yeah,
Because this is also the same model black Jeep. It might even be the same fucking vehicle that they used for the
yeah,
movie. I don't know, but it looks like it. Um, she gets in the Jeep. She's driving with whoever the driver is, and the driver's not talking to her. She's saying things. She's asking questions. The driver's not saying a fucking word. That's a
yeah,
little weird. Then the driver passes the camp entrance and speeds up. So he doesn't stop at the entrance to Camp Crystal Lake to let her out. He
mm.
actually speeds up and speeds right past it. She starts to get fucking nervous. Uh, at this point, how fast do you think that Jeep was going?
I don't know. The, the, I don't know. It appeared to me as with something around the 70 kilometers per hour,
Yeah.
something around that. No,
Yeah, I'm gonna say like around being generous, maybe 30 to 35 miles per hour, right?
is that 70
So
kilometers per hour?
I'm not completely sure about the conversion. Still,
Yeah,
even though I've lived in Germany forever, like my conversion on that is terrible.
yeah.
I know that 130 is 80 miles an hour. That's about all I know. So I try to stay at 130. At least I know I'm like kind of within the speed limit. But just for argument's sake, this Jeep is probably going 35 miles an hour. She's freaked out enough by the fact that this driver has passed the camp entrance that she just jumps out of the Jeep. Jumps out of the Jeep going 35 miles an hour. I would argue the killer probably wouldn't have to go find her to kill her because she'd be dead as a fucking doornail if she did that in real life.
Probably, yeah. Yeah, she wouldn't be able to walk, yeah.
Yeah. No. And so she jumps out of this 35-mile-an-hour speeding Jeep onto the side of the road and basically just hurts her knee. Just
Yeah.
hurts her knee a little bit, gets up and starts running away. This is where we get the second POV of the killer, right? So
Mhm.
Friday the 13th is known for having a POV. This is the second POV of the killer. He chases her through the woods, and the chick gets her fucking neck slit open, right? Also, interesting, because we talked about Tom Savini in the last podcast, right? For Day of
Yeah.
the Dead. Tom Savini does all of the effects in this movie,
I know.
all the
Yeah.
death effects. Yeah, so they're top notch, like brilliant. I look at the slit in the girl's throat and how the blood comes out. It looks real as shit, dude. Like the effects in this movie are top notch. So thanks to Tom Savini. So she's dead. So basically, the person you thought was the main character is now dead. So the audience is like, "What the fuck?" All right. So now we're back at the camp, our softcore porn camp. Um,
Soft porn.
counselors just rename the whole camp. Just call it softcore porn camp, dude, because that's what it
Softcore.
is.
Yeah, yeah. Softcore porn camp. Yeah.
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 So the counselors are swimming in the lake and goofing off because this is like their couple days off that they get before this whole thing starts. Ned pretends to drown, right? I would have kicked this guy's fucking ass. I would have
Me too.
kicked this dude's
That
fucking
that
ass.
exactly. That's also why I said like I mean that's and he pretends to drown and everybody's like freaking out. Swim up to him, and once they bring him up on shore, it was like Yeah, he's like, that's a joke. Like, I would be so fucking pissed. I mean, I would have literally just pushed him back into water and say, I hope you drown, fucker, and would have left.
Dude, like, this is not a good idea. Like he has everybody, and not only does he act like he's drowning, he actually goes underneath the water for an extended period of time. So these kids are freaking the fuck out, dude. They're not like, oh, quit playing around. No, they're fucking scared. They get a canoe to go out there. They jump into the water with their clothes on, trying to rescue this guy. One of them has to go underwater and bring his body back up above the water, almost drowning herself. And then they have to get him on the dock. And when they get him on the dock, one of the girls gives him mouth-to-mouth resuscitation, and he grabs onto her and is like, yeah, I got you, and you kissed me. Fucking kill him, dude. I'd fucking kill him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fuck that guy. When he died, I was happy because he shouldn't have been here in the first place. That guy's a fucking asshole.
Yeah.
So Ned wanders into a cabin after seeing someone inside and vanishes. This is right after that scene. So the campers are kind of going around. The jackass who pretended to drown walks a different direction, and he looks up and sees that someone's in a cabin, doesn't know who it is, and walks in after him to try and figure out who it is. That's the last time we see Ned, isn't it?
I think so, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Ned is basically killed off screen by this unseen person. So a storm starts rolling in. Did you notice that when they mention that a storm is rolling in and they're standing outside talking about it? I want to say it's Kevin Bacon's character looks up at the sky and he's like, "Oh, storm's getting closer," as he's talking to the girl, and lightning flashes, right? But the color of this lightning is like a yellow light bulb. Did you notice that?
Yeah,
It
that's
did not
probably
fit
it.
at all. It's like, oh, it's lightning, but it's a flash of a yellow light bulb. I'm like, they must not have had a white light bulb around. You know, it looks stupid as fuck.
Yeah.
Jack and Marcy sneak off to a cabin to have sex. Jack is Kevin Bacon's character. Marcy's character is kind of a brunette.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, we know that Ned is dead, and we don't know this right now, okay?
It comes off pretty much towards the end, no?
Yeah. Well, it comes out here, actually, but these two walk into the cabin to go have sex. These bunk beds, if I was standing up, the top of the bunk would be like right here on me, right? And I'm a 6'3" guy. So you're telling me that Ned's mutilated body is on top of the bunk that they're underneath, and they didn't see his body when they walked into the cabin?
I mean, man, I mean, they're fucking horny as shit, and this is softcore porn cam, so of course not. I mean, they just want to fuck, so yeah, that guy's laying up there. Whatever. I mean, we'll bang, and then we'll take care of him. It's something like that.
I think I would have been a little worried, and I think I would have seen him because they show him after they finish banging. They show him like it pans from the bottom bunk up to the top bunk, and his body is just laying there, all splayed out with blood everywhere. These guys did not realize that when they walked in there at all, and I have to wonder why. Stupid as fuck. Not only that, but the pillow that they are laying on has blood all over it, and they didn't notice that either. So these guys must have been really fucking high and really fucking horny, dude, not to notice.
Yeah, probably a mixture of both, probably.
Yeah. So these guys bang, and Marcy has to go to the bathroom afterwards, so she leaves. By the way, Kevin Bacon, you're an asshole for making the girl walk through the rain to the bathroom fucking stall in the rain by herself to go pee. Good job, dude. You're not getting laid again. That was you just failed. You just failed. Anyway, so she goes walking by herself. Jack is laying in bed on his back on the same bunk that they just fucked on. And he lights up a joint. You kind of sealed your fate there because you just had sex and now you're smoking a joint.
Yeah.
Blood drips down from the top of the bunk and lands next to him, and he's like, "Oh, that looks like blood." But then continues to smoke his joint and not think about it. Great kill here. Fantastic. Thank you, Tom Savini. But a hand comes up and grabs the top of his head from underneath the bed.
Yeah.
And then sticks a fucking arrow through the mattress and then through his neck right here.
Yeah.
Right? Fucking brilliant kill. Also, Tom Savini said that the blood was not supposed to spurt out like that. So what happened here was they had a pump on the other end that was supposed to spray blood when the arrow came through, but the arrow came through and no blood sprayed anywhere. It just kind of piled up on his neck. And there was a monitor that was beneath where the guy who had the pump was, and he realized that it didn't spurt. So he grabbed the tube and blew into it as hard as he could to try to make the effect work.
Yeah.
And because of
Yeah.
that, the blood went everywhere. So that wasn't Tom Savini that made that happen. That was the guy on the other end of the pump. Tom Savini's like, yes, it was a great kill, but I can't take credit for it because the other guy blew into the tube. Great kill. Kevin Bacon's dead.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Marcy returns and hears strange noises.
No, but
Huh?
wasn't Marcy the one that got killed in the bathroom?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
so she hasn't returned. She's in the bathroom. You're right. So
Yeah,
she's in the
exactly.
bathroom. She hears some strange noises. I think we see a hand in the shower that's on a shower curtain, and then it kind of goes away. And she kind of sees it, but I
Yeah.
don't think she realizes. She's thinking maybe it's my imagination because I'm freaked out. And
Yeah.
then gets an axe to her face.
Yeah, but that was kind of ridiculous. This is my. I mean, it's actually a ridiculous scene for multiple reasons. You know, I mean, this is like a bathroom that's like, I don't know, a few houses away. So you have to run like maybe 50 to 100 meters probably to get to this bathroom. And she's fucking and she's almost butt naked, only having her underwear on. Where it's like, oh yeah, she literally just walked half naked from that to begin with. No, and then you have like the scene where you have like she hears something, and just like that, Matt said, you have like the hand you see on the curtain, no? And then she sees somebody's coming. This is stupid, this scene, because she gets an axe to her face, but she literally turns around and is standing there, and for like multiple seconds, just standing there, like, oh my god! And then
I noticed that.
and it's like,
I
oh my
noticed that
god,
she turns
I'm
around
going
and
to
screams
die.
and is like, "Ah!" You gave that
Yeah.
guy or the killer or whoever enough time to pick exactly where he wanted to put that axe. Like he had a good like 15
Exactly.
seconds to be
Exactly.
like, should I hit her in the stomach? Should I hit her in the shoulder? Ah, fuck it. She's just standing there staring at me. I'll just fucking hit her in the face with the
Yeah,
axe.
I'm like, I mean, of course it works, Matt, because this is softcore porn camp where everybody's nice. Yeah. So.
Yeah, and stupid as fuck. Uh, so she's dead.
Yeah.
Brenda now, which I forget which one Brenda is, but
Uh.
I thought something happened before this, though. Yeah, so before this, it's her and the main character and another guy, which I can't remember what the other guy's name is, but they're inside of a cabin and they decide to play strip poker. No, strip Monopoly.
Yeah, but that happens. Yeah, that happens after the kill, after the
Okay, after the kill. Okay,
Bacon kills. Yeah,
okay.
that happens after. Yeah,
So that happened after the Kevin Bacon kill?
I think so. I think so.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, so they're in a cabin and they're bored and they say, okay, let's find some grass because somebody left some weed here. So we're going to find some weed and smoke that. And we're going to play Monopoly.
Yeah.
But we're going to play Strip Monopoly. And the way that you play Strip Monopoly, apparently, is instead of using money to buy properties, you pay with clothes, right? So
Okay.
that has to be the slowest fucking strip game in the world because by the time you get to a point where you can buy a property, a whole bunch of time has passed. And if I only have to pay one article of clothing to get this property as cash, then I'm giving you my shirt. And then maybe 30 minutes later, I'm going to give you my pants or whatever. That is the lamest fucking strip game. You're telling me there wasn't a deck of cards there? You couldn't have played strip poker? Like, just kill me now because I'm not playing strip Monopoly.
No.
Like, that is the most boring fucking strip game ever. Like, I don't know who came up with that or if that's even a thing or if they were just trying to be interesting, but what a stupid fucking idea.
I don't know. I've never played a strip game.
You poor guy.
Huh? What?
Just kidding. I'm just kidding.
It was never necessary.
Yeah, well, not in Germany.
Huh?
I mean,
Huh?
you basically just can go to any lake. You can basically go to any lake in Germany and somebody's not wearing clothes. So probably not a big deal
Yeah.
for you guys like it was for Americans.
No,
So-
not really.
They finished playing this game of strip poker, right? And Brenda, who's the brunette of the group, so not the main character, but the brunette, she hears a child's voice outside calling for help. And it is a child's voice. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not sure there's any way a grown person could make this voice because it is obviously a child's voice calling for help. It's pouring down rain. She's wearing a nightgown. She runs out into this pouring down, like torrential downpour to where she hears the child's voice, and the child's voice is on an archery range that was set up earlier, right?
Hmm.
She runs out onto the archery range trying to find this kid. All the lights on the archery range come on, and that's the last time we see her. So that death is also off screen.
Off screen, yeah.
Yeah. Which is a shame. I mean, we get to see her later killed, but you don't see the kill happen. And I don't, maybe it was a budget thing. I don't know. But
Yeah.
um, so Steve Christie has been away this entire time in his Jeep getting supplies for the camp because he's got to work on the camp.
Yeah.
He returns from out of town and his Jeep breaks down, right? And it breaks down kind of at the entrance of the camp. Thankfully, there's a police officer that kind of is going the same way at the same time, and he picks Steve up. And he drives him back to the camp. Once he gets back to the camp, I don't think he realizes that anything's happened at this point, if I remember correctly. Like
because he's been mostly
gone.
away, so he couldn't have realized what was happened. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So he shows up, it's pouring down rain, and then somebody meets him at the entrance to the camp.
Mhm.
The person doesn't talk, but you can see from his face that he knows who this person is.
Yeah.
So he's like, "Oh, hey, what are you doing out here?"
Yeah.
It's pouring down rain, whatever. And then you can tell he gets stabbed in the stomach with something. But we don't see what it is, and we don't see any blood. We just know that he's now dead, right?
Mm-hmm.
Alice and Bill realize something is wrong because no one else is around. These are the two people left over from the strip Monopoly game. They're just kind of fucking hanging out. They realize something's wrong. The power goes out, which is odd. So Bill goes and checks the generator, which we saw the generator earlier because they had to start it up. He goes to check out the generator. While he's doing that, Alice is kind of wandering around looking for some way to keep herself safe, I guess.
Yeah.
She's kind of wandering around aimlessly. I don't really feel like there's too much of a point to what she's doing. Like, they've already looked for phones and all the phone lines are cut, right?
Yeah.
So she's going around, she's calling for Bill. She can't find Bill. Bill went to go turn on the generators. The generators haven't come back on. She comes out of a door and closes the door behind her, and this is the door to the outside. And when the door closes, Bill is hung on the back of it with arrows sticking out of his eyes and his face and his stomach, and there's blood everywhere. So now he's been killed. She's freaking out. She now is the last survivor. So all these kills have happened. She's the only one left.
Yeah.
This scene where she gets in this cabin, right? Did you notice anything about the way she was barricading herself in the cabin that made no sense?
Oh yeah, she took a rope and tied it to one end, and then to the other side of the door, so the door could not be opened. A door, by the way, that you have to push from the other side. So, because I mean, the door opens like this way, of course.
Yeah, it opens out. It opens out.
And she puts a rope on it and ties it in. So whatever. And then she doesn't think about putting anything in front of the windows. I mean, great idea. Make sure she can't open the door, but fuck the windows.
I mean, I'll chalk this up to her just being completely freaked out, right? So she's not really paying attention to what she's doing.
Yes.
I mean, if this situation was happening to me at her age, I probably would have done the same thing. But the idea with the rope was actually brilliant because she ties it around the doorknob, throws it around something on the roof, and then ties it so the door can't be opened. But like you said, she starts piling everything in the room in front of this door so that the person can't open the door, but the door opens out. So all of this piling makes no sense. That's not stopping anybody because the door is not opening anyway.
But the thing is, even the thing with rope, it is a brilliant idea, Matt. No? If the door would open, like to this side, and you have like a rope here, holding it here. But if the door opens to this side, this rope is not going to do fucking shit.
No. And then the windows are just, like you said, the windows are just kind of there. And they're big windows that are like cabin windows. So you can basically just put your arm through them and get in, no problem.
Yeah.
So she's in there barricading herself stupidly in. And then what's her name that just got killed? The one that got killed on the archery range. Brenda, right?
Yeah, Brenda. She gets thrown through the window,
Her body gets thrown through the window. And it's been stabbed multiple times. And she's tied up with a rope. Right?
Yeah.
So she's really freaking out now. Alice runs outside and sees a Jeep pull up. Naturally, she thinks the Jeep is Steve's Jeep because Steve's Jeep looks exactly like this Jeep. So she thinks it's Steve and runs straight for the Jeep. And a woman gets out with like a sweater on, and we've never seen her before.
A light blue sweatshirt.
Light blue sweatshirt, yeah. We've never seen this woman before, but she quickly says, "Hey, it's okay. I don't know what's going on, but I'm a friend of the Christies. I'm Pamela Voorhees." We've never seen this character before. So this new character is introduced. She seems like she's there to help the girl and save the day, right? Lo, it's okay. I'll keep you safe, blah, blah, blah. They go back into the cabin together. She starts talking to her, and she says, "Oh, you know, I can't believe they wanted to open this place back up after all the deaths that happened."
Yeah.
And
then she specifically goes into Jason's death.
Yeah.
No. And that of course that's where it starts to get really fucking creepy. No?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's like a creepy factor that slowly starts to gain here in this conversation. And I thought this was actually really well done. Because I think as the viewer, if you haven't seen the film, you really do think she's going to help.
Yeah.
And then she starts talking about her son's death. And then she starts talking about how the camp counselors are the reason the kid is dead because they let him drown because they were too busy fucking and doing drugs, right? And then she says, I think the girl looks at her, I think her name's Annie, and she says, what's going on? What's going on? I don't understand. Pamela blames the camp staff for her being dead. And then explains that she killed everyone to keep the camp from reopening. She blatantly says it.
Yeah, she said like I can't let them reopen the camp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then immediately pulls a knife.
Yeah, immediately.
He
just
pulls
goes
a
and
knife
just runs
out
after her
and starts attacking Alice, right? Alice fights back and knocks her down several times. Dude, this bitch keeps getting back up, man. For an older woman, she takes some fucking abuse and keeps getting back up. Like, I got to hand it to Mrs. Voorhees. This is probably where Jason got it. That dude gets fucked up so many times and keeps getting back up. This woman gets fucking beat in the twat with a fucking baseball bat. She gets hit in the arm with a poker. She gets her back smashed in with a fire poker. She attacks her again in a closet and gets a skillet to the forehead, like a giant frying pan skillet to the forehead. And that's hard enough of a hit to where she falls back on her back and is knocked out.
Actually, that hit. I mean, if you hit hard enough with something like that, you could kill somebody.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I thought she was dead. You know, I mean, I know she wasn't because I've seen the movie, but I think initially when I saw this, I was like, oh, she's dead, you know, because there's blood on the floor everywhere. She's down. She's out. Alice realizes she's out, and Alice does the typical fucking horror movie trope that I cannot fucking stand. She leaves her laying there, doesn't finish the job, and runs out to the water as if everything's okay, right? Like, okay, I get it. This is a horror movie where the people that are in it are not aware that it's a horror movie. But I think in any instance where you have a crazed woman trying to kill you and you finally got her knocked out, you're probably safe to go ahead and kill her. I think you can explain that away to the cops. At least you're saving yourself. But no, she runs away.
Yeah, but the most people aren't going to do that, Matt.
No?
Yeah, I do not think that in a situation like that, a 16, 17-year-old kid is actually going to think about killing her. They're just beating her till she's not moving anymore and then run away.
I would have killed her. 17 or not, I would have killed her.
Yeah, Matt, but I mean, we're too. But you're a soldier, of course.
Yeah, but I wasn't a soldier at 17. I would have still cut her fucking head off right there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, of course, maybe you would have killed her. But the thing is, I do not think that a lot of normal 17, 16-year-old kids would be capable of that, only in self-defense. And at this point, she's on the floor, not moving. No, and the most people I think would be like, "Fuck it, I'm getting out of here." No.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll give you that logic that maybe other people would have done that. But for me, I don't think it wouldn't have mattered how many horror movies I've seen. This woman just single-handedly. And how old do you think she is? She's probably in her mid-60s, right? At least?
Probably. I mean, she looks like the age of my grandma at the time. No? Because she's probably somewhere around her 60s. I mean, if she already had a kid in 1958.
Yeah.
No?
So she's old, dude.
Yeah.
And she single-handedly just wiped out the entire camp. Everybody.
Yeah.
And you know this, right?
No.
So maybe do more? Whatever, it doesn't matter. She runs away, goes down to the riverside and hangs out. Probably panicking, doesn't really know what to do because she's the last one left. And this camp, by the way, is 20 miles away from civilization. So
Yeah,
she's
yeah,
hanging
yeah,
out on the
yeah.
shore crying. Of course, Pamela Voorhees comes back, and this time with a machete. She's right behind her, and this girl almost gets her fucking head taken off, dude. She was
Yeah.
this close to getting her fucking head taken off. She's able to knock the machete out of Pamela's hand. The machete's on the ground, and then these two have a cat fight for a good, what feels like 5 to 6 minutes of cat fighting on the sand,
It could
right?
be it could be around that time, 5 to 6 minutes, and then yeah, they start fighting, and then sometime Pamela Voorhees starts almost trying to stab her with a fucking paddle. You know,
Adult
that's
paddle.
part actually, huh?
Adult paddle. It wasn't even like the sticky end of the paddle. It's the part of the paddle that you grab that has a handle, you know?
Yeah,
It's like
yeah,
a T. She wants
yeah,
to stab her with this. I'm like, yeah, that wouldn't have worked anyway, dude. But tries to stab her. She misses. She kicks her and she kind of flies off towards the water's edge, and she's laying there.
yeah,
The girl runs back and grabs the machete that she dropped. And then we get kind of a slow motion take. Everything goes into slow motion as this girl takes the machete and runs towards Pamela. Pamela's face just starts like this ultimate surprise look. And it's on our
yeah,
thumbnail too. So if you look at like the podcast and you look at the thumbnail, this
yeah, yeah,
exact scene
yeah,
is what's on the thumbnail. She's got this
yeah.
surprised face. Like, but she's not like trying to stop the girl or anything. She's just screaming. Girl runs up, and we get our first decapitation. So she decapitates Pamela Voorhees.
Exactly. Yeah.
I don't know why this scene was left the way that it was. And I wish I had the clip right now to show you so that you could laugh your ass off. And it's probably because everybody's staring at her neck that's spurting blood, so you don't notice the hands. But Mike, the hands in this scene that are doing this next to the body that are her hands look just like my hands. They're men's hands that are
Yeah, they're not
covered.
hers.
They're men's
Yeah, yeah,
hands that are covered in hair. And I'm like, so this woman has really manly hands. And that's why we didn't realize that it was a female killer, because every time you saw the hands kill somebody, they look like this.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Of
Doesn't
course.
make
Yeah,
any sense.
yeah,
So Pamela Voorhees is now dead. Um, the next morning, Alice drifts in a canoe on the lake because she got into a canoe and pushed herself out into the lake to go to sleep because she's tired, exhausted, whatever. Um, there's a lot of peaceful music that's playing at this time. It's very tranquil.
yeah,
The morning comes and she's still laying in the canoe, and then two cops drive up in two cop cars, right?
yeah.
They drive up onto the side of the lake and they're calling out to her to wake up. So she wakes up, and when she wakes up and notices the cops, kind of the rotting, disgusting, waterlogged corpse of the child Jason's body jumps out of the water,
And pulls her
grabs her
down.
in the canoe, and takes her under, right?
Jason Ford. Yeah,
Right.
Jason jumps out of the water and pulls her down.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. And then then it comes down to she wakes up in the hospital.
Right.
No, and
Right.
then they're talking like, oh, what's going? I mean, I pretty much should say she almost drowned or whatever. No, and I'm not sure if it was her family, if the cops were there, but then they're talking about what happened and blah blah blah. No, and then Alice is like, yeah, but where was the boy? And they're like, what boy? Yeah, the boy that pulled me down the water. There was no boy. And he says, oh, well, then he must still be there. No,
Right.
yeah,
But here's the thing. Each one of these movies, I think up until part five, I think, and people can correct me if they want to, I'm not really sure, but up until part five, there's always a dream sequence at the end that the person kind of imagines happened, but didn't really happen. And I think that we're supposed to
yeah, yeah,
believe that this was a dream she had, that Jason came back out of the lake and pulled her under. They do this in every movie. And
yeah,
that's
yeah.
why the cops don't realize that what she's talking about, because it didn't happen. There
Probably,
was no
yeah,
little boy in the water. Now, this is one of those things in contention with Friday the 13th fans is why did they show Jason as a child? Basically, like maybe, what do you want to think? Like maybe a 15, 16-year-old, maybe younger, coming out of the water and pulling her
yeah,
under.
because
If by the next film, he's a full grown man.
yeah, that's the thing is even if you kid, yeah, that's the problem. I mean, in this scene they show him just like you say as a kid, no, but even according to canon and lore, no, he's a 40-year-old guy at this point. No, this is also
Oh,
another
he's
thing.
older than that, dude.
Yeah.
He's older than that. The death happened in 1958.
Yeah,
So
that's
this
about
would
20.
be
That's about 20 years before this. And if he
yeah
was 15 or a
yeah.
kid,
Oh
like
yeah. Okay okay. You're right.
he's
Yeah. So he's late
he's
30s, early
around
40s. You're
like
right.
somewhere 40,
Um.
45, somewhere around that. No? But this is like one of the things
Yeah.
that does not make a whole lot of sense. I mean, that's stupid. According to canon and lore, no, of course, Pamela Voorhees, no, was pissed off. That's how he went on slaughtering everybody in 1958 because she believed that her son was dead and that he drowned. No, but because nobody found his body. But according to that, he didn't drown. He somehow got off to a shore on the other side of the lake and then survived in the wild or whatever. And this is the thing that actually okay. Apparently, Jaron Voorhees is not the brightest, and he's some kind of deformed thing, and he survived in the wilderness or whatever. I don't know. But the thing is, this is what makes a lot of things just ridiculous because I cannot believe that nobody was capable of finding Jason Voorhees. Sorry. And specifically, even though if they didn't find his body, I do not believe that because at one point, it was like Pamela Voorhees went out, looked for him for a month, and was like, okay, fuck it, I'm gonna stop.
Well, okay. So you got a point.
Yeah.
If you want to go with that line of thought, you have a point. But the creators, including the guy who created this movie, and this makes no sense, but this is true.
Yeah, yeah.
In Jason Goes to Hell, we find out that his mother was in the possession of the Necronomicon from the Evil Dead series.
Okay, I didn't know that. Yeah.
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 So, and this is them kind of correcting canon, and they did this on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
The guy who did Jason Goes to Hell was a big Evil Dead fan, but he also had said he wanted to correct canon to where it made more sense. And so his idea was that before Pamela died, she was in possession of the Necronomicon, right? And
Yeah.
she called on a spell inside the book to bring him back.
Okay.
But it didn't happen before her death. So she did this and then got killed, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Okay.
after she died, part of the incantation that she made was that he would come back as a deadite and continue killing. So that part of the canon is
Mm-hmm.
corrected in Jason Goes to Hell, which Jason Goes to Hell is a terrible fucking movie. We're gonna rip that movie to fucking shreds.
Jason
But
Goes
in
to
that,
Hell.
yeah, in that movie, you don't only get the Necronomicon, you also get the dagger from Evil Dead, the one that kills Deadites, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the dagger that they kill him with in Jason Goes to Hell. They stab him with that Deadite dagger, and he goes to hell. Which is what happens in the Evil Dead series with this dagger. I thought that was kind of cool. What that doesn't explain is the difference in Jason's fucking face and his body size in every movie. Right? So we move on to Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
Friday the 13th, part 2. He's a taller guy, but he's very thin. Like he's not muscular or anything like that. He's kind of a thin guy in overalls.
And he still wears the bag. No,
Yeah, and he's got a bag over
get
his head.
the ice hockey mask he doesn't get until the third part, right?
Yeah, he doesn't
If I
get that until
remember
the third
correctly.
movie, and it was kind of a mistake that he got it. Yep, that's correct. So part 2, he's Baghead Jason, which is a direct ripoff of the movie The Town That Dreaded Sundown, because the killer in that movie has the exact bag on his head with one eye, just like Jason does here. Right? Yeah, so second movie, he's a thin, tiny little guy. Third movie, dude has been hitting the fucking gym because he's ripped as fuck.
Yeah.
Jason is stout, and he has basically no neck. He's like, just this gigantic fucking beef of a monster. And it just gets worse from there, because after that movie, you have Kane Hodder, who takes over. Kane Hodder's like 6'3" and 260 pounds of just muscle. The guy's fucking huge, right? And so he's Jason up until Freddy versus Jason, in which case Ken Kurtzinger takes over the role of Jason in that movie. Kim Kurtzinger is 6'7". The guy makes me look tiny. He's like two heads taller than me. He's huge. So we go from like a 6'1" guy in the second film to a 6'7" hulking juggernaut in Freddy versus Jason. And there's no explanation as to why this is at all. But you know what? It doesn't matter because it worked. People go see these movies. They love Friday the 13th, and continuity be damned, they're great. I like them.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm going to be honest. I never really noticed that.
I mean,
because it's mostly always filmed that you barely actually notice it. You know.
Yeah, I do, because I'm a big fan, and I think anybody that's a really big fan of Friday the 13th has noticed it. there's no real way to explain it
Yeah.
away. Like the guy just keeps getting bigger and keeps getting bigger. There is an instance in Jason X, which is the one where he goes to space.
Yeah.
There is a scene in Jason X where the military has captured him and they've studied him a little bit, and they explain that he has regenerative properties, so he will continue to regenerate. And he will continue to become more dangerous and more evil and more violent and all this stuff. But it doesn't account for the size change at all. Like he's a fucking monster. And the first time we see him as a human being, he's smaller than you and me, Mike.
Yeah. We're both about 6'3", no?
Yeah, 6'3",
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
taller than the original Jason character in part two, which
Yeah.
we'll go do part two. Uh, part two, Crazy Ralph gets killed, by the way. He has a
Yeah.
death scene. He gets murdered by Jason. Um, uh, and I don't know why, because they just replaced this guy in part three with another guy who's like a doomsday guy, who's carrying an eyeball that they never explain why he's carrying the eyeball, but he
Yeah.
has like a
Yeah.
dismembered eyeball from somebody at one of the camps. But part two is going to be fun because it's got a lot of fucking continuity errors and problems with it. But good movie.
Mm-hmm.
Overall, what's your take on this movie? Hate it, like it, hilarious, what?
Yeah, well, how should I say it? I mean, I like it. I like it. It's a good movie. But for me, I would kind of, if we have like a rating system 1 to 10, I would probably give it a 7, just because for a large port, it's boring. And for a big port, I'm sorry, the writing, the scenes, and everything, the way it's built up, it could easily be a fucking porn movie.
Yeah, I'll give you that. It's a softcore
just,
porn.
just
It's a
like we said,
softcore porn
just
with
like we
kills.
said,
You're
not,
right.
you could easily with recut. Yeah, if you take the kills out of it, and then like later on, the scene with Pamela Voorhees, you just revoice it into "You bang my husband, I don't like you" or something like that. And I was like, it would be fucking
It's a
porn.
softcore porn. And it doesn't get better with every movie. Every movie kind of takes it up a notch even further to where like you're almost watching porn by part three. You know what I mean? Like there's
Yeah,
literally
yeah,
more
yeah, yeah.
tits
I
and
know, I
ass
know, I know.
in
Yeah,
this movie than there are kills in the third movie, and then the fourth movie takes it another notch higher. Like it just gets worse and worse. Up until like Jason X, which at that point they're just making fun of the whole like having sex and dying thing, like
yeah,
to the point of absurdity. And I have to wonder why studios take things in that direction. Because the formula is laid out here to keep doing what you're doing with every film. And that's exactly what they do. They take every one of the Friday the 13th films
yeah,
and they build on what they did in the last film because it makes money, right? Tits and ass, blood and guts, you got a great horror film.
yeah,
And then
yeah.
we get to Jason X, which just goes, it might as well be a trauma film, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
it's just comedy at that point. And I hate that they did that because the character's so good and the lineage of the Friday the 13th stories is so good. It
Yeah,
pissed
yeah.
me off, but I can still watch Jason X and laugh a little bit. It's pretty good.
Yeah, okay, of course, yeah.
Um,
Jason X was a little bit funny, yeah. I mean, at the end, Cyborg Jason, he
yeah,
was like, yeah, okay, why not?
yeah, that was great. That was great. Like I laughed a lot. It was a good movie. Stupid as fuck, but good.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
I would say for this film, when you're gauging films and horror films, you kind of have to look at everything with a historical context. So with a historical context in mind, and the fact that this had been the first time that a movie like this had been done, where there
yeah,
was in-your-face gore and there was a nice twist at the end with who the killer was. If I do it in a historical context, ignoring every horror movie that's come after it, and the fact that you and me have seen a million horror films, um, I'd give it at
of
least
course,
an
yeah.
8. Like,
Yeah,
great movie.
yeah,
Great
yeah.
movie.
That,
A little
for
boring.
me, it would be a 7 that I would
Yeah,
give it. Yeah,
that's fine.
yeah,
I give it an 8 just because the writing was decent. It kept you interested. There were some boring parts where I'm not really sure that they knew where they were going to go with the next scene. And that's kind of why they added all this filler in there. So it
yeah.
was a little bit boring. But historical context wise, and I'm going to get hate for this, a better movie than Halloween, in my opinion.
Definitely.
A better movie than
Definitely.
Home.
It definitely is. I mean, I've always been a Friday the 13th fan, and this is also one of those things. I watched this movie with my grandma
You watched this one with your grandma?
when I was 8.
Oh, Jesus Christ, dude. Your grandma's not around
Because
anymore, is she?
no. My grandma died before my family left the States to move to Germany. Huh?
Okay.
But my grandma was a super hardcore horror fan. Super Matt. She had like literally back at the time every single horror movie possible my grandma had at home on tape. Every single one.
Would
No?
have loved to have met your grandma.
And I do not know why, but at the time, just like I told you, Werewolf 1980s, I knew that from my grandma and The Boys, no? And I remember I watched, I think it was Friday evening, I watched Freddy Krueger, no? Nightmare on Elm Street. And then the day after that, I watched with my grandma Friday the 13th, no? And when I was very young, no? It didn't bother me. I watched those movies with her grandma, but for some reason, I don't know why, when I was around 9, 10, horror movies started to scare me. For some reason. I do not know why. It was kind of weird, you know?
That's
Because when
odd.
I was like, when I was 6, 7, 8, it didn't really phase me at all, movies like this. Huh? But at 9 to 11, for some reason, horror movies scared me. And then when I was around 13, 14, I just started watching horror movies again.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Like, I grew up in a really religious household. Horror movies were not really allowed. Like, you couldn't see. Like, my parents went by the rating system. Absolutely. If you weren't 13, you weren't seeing a PG-13 movie. If you weren't 17, you weren't seeing an R-rated movie. So if I wanted to see these movies, I had to see them outside of the house and not tell them about them. And I think this is a warning to parents. This is a warning to parents. If you forbid your kids anything, if they're the wrong kind of kid, they're absolutely going to dive into what you told them not to do and absolutely love it as an adult, right?
Yeah.
So horror movies, heavy metal, I was not allowed either of those things. And here I am at 45 doing a horror heavy metal podcast. Just warning, parents, like maybe you should just let your kids do whatever.
The thing is,
I don't.
my parents also very often my parents usually didn't allow me to watch horror movies, no, because they didn't want me to, like the rest of the parents. But the thing is, both of my parents were atheists. My grandma and my grandpa were also both atheists, no. Okay, they were Christians, of course, because we lived in a small town, but none of us believed in God, no. And I remember, I think my parents often had arguments with my grandma because of this, because every time we went to my grandma, she watched horror movies with us. Because the only movies my grandma had at home were horror movies.
I got all the young kids over. I guess it's time to watch some blood and titties.
Yeah. And just like my sister, my younger sister, my older sister Danielle, she can't handle horror films. Never could. No, and even till nowadays. If I was with, I think, both of my sisters, no, and my brother-in-laws in Wrong Turn when it came out, the movies, no.
Okay.
My older sister, that movie scared her so much. Till nowadays, she's afraid to go into the woods alone.
Are you fucking serious?
Yeah, no shit. Huh? And my younger sister, on the way, when we were younger, my grandma watched with her Child's Play. Yeah, and she was and she was even younger. I was 8 at this time, and my younger sister was 6.
Holy shit, dude.
and, and the same was with my
against that.
What?
I would have probably advised against that. Like,
probably. I mean, my younger sister, she also wasn't afraid of it. She liked Chucky. She actually went home and started telling my parents about this awesome movie she saw with grandma with a small puppet just slaughtering everybody.
oh my God, dude. Like, I don't know. Like, when I was a kid, I grew up on the water on the beach, right? So we we would go spend summers down at the beach house and just live on the water. And I was obsessed with sharks. And so at the time, the only shark movie there was
Jaws.
Jaws, right? And I wanted to see Jaws so bad. And my parents were like, fuck no, absolutely not. You're not going to watch that movie. But I wouldn't shut up about it. So my dad, being the brilliant guy that he was, said, oh, well, you know, this movie was a book. So here's the book. Read the book. Biggest fucking mistake you could ever make as a parent is to give a kid the book instead of letting them watch the movie, because the book is so much worse. So much worse. And I had fucking nightmares, and I did not want to go swimming, and I did not want to go down to the beach. It was so bad, Mike, that I would take a bath and I would worry that Jaws was going to come out of the bathtub, dude. That's how fucking scary that book was.
Wow. Okay, that's brutal. That's brutal.
And I would recommend people go back and read the book. Like if you saw Jaws, great, but go back and read the book if you're a reader, because the book is fucking scary as shit, dude. It's kind of like It, Stephen King's It. I don't think any of the movies were that scary. The newer one, like the remake that has the two parts.
The thing is,
I thought those movies were garbage, but the book was scary.
Well, the thing is, the book was scary as fuck. When it came to It, I mean, the original one, I liked it, but I also wouldn't consider it scary. With the remakes, the first one I thought was fine. I liked it. Wasn't perfect. When it came to the second one, it was just like, there's the one scene, where that just instantly made me not being able to take any of these movies seriously. That's the scene where the one guy goes, "Yippee-ki-yay, mother," and he's like, I mean, that's unintentionally funny, but after that movie, I couldn't take anything... After that scene, I couldn't take anything seriously in the movie. Also, the previous movie, but I do not think that was supposed to be funny. But I've watched only that scene multiple times, and I can't stop laughing because, like,
I couldn't do it. Like, I think horror books tend to ruin movies, especially if the book came out before the movie. Because if I read It, right, and It was another one that I got to read the book before I saw the movie. So the movies were not scary to me. The book is fucked up. It's completely fucked up. Very graphic detail, very adult themes. The monster itself is explained so creepily and so well that when you have this clown in your head, you have a perfect picture of what this clown looks like. And it's not what's in either of the movies. Not taking anything away from Tim Curry, because Tim Curry did a fantastic job in the made-for-TV version of It. Like, I love Tim Curry. He did a great job. That was truer to the book than the remake. Absolutely. The remake, the clown was creepy as fuck. But that's not the way it was supposed to be. The clown himself was supposed to look not creepy and very normal, but then would do something creepy and horrible. And that's what made it so scary. They completely lost that in translation with the remake. Like, the clown is creepy from the get-go, and it loses something. But I say read books. Just don't make the mistake of giving your kid the book because you don't want him to see the movie, because the book is always worse. Fuck, don't do it. Anyway, dude, you got anything else you want to talk about? At
the moment, no, not really. No.
Yeah, there's so much metal stuff. I find myself looking into metal and I can't really say anything because I don't want to give anything away. And it's kind of like I said last time. If anybody out there has like a new metal album that's come out recently that they want us to review or listen to, please send it. The most recent one that came out that I thought was really good was the Halo Effects new album that just came out. It's great.
Yeah.
It's classic melodic death metal, but they don't really change the formula too much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for me it was the new album of Killswitch Engage.
Yeah, we talked about that last episode. It's a good album. I listened to it. I liked it, but it's like you said, it's a Killswitch Engage album.
Exactly. It's a Killswitch Engage album. Yeah.
They didn't really change the formula too much. It's a great album. I listened to it more than once, but I mean, do you find this is like a deeper discussion that could probably go on for hours, but do you find that because you are a musician, when you listen to albums, you notice things that other people wouldn't notice and it kind of ruins it for you?
Yeah, to a certain degree. Well, I'm not as extreme as other musicians, but how should I say it? Yeah, you notice things you notice is the sound quality of the recordings and certain song structures. Whenever song structures just repeat too fast, it's kind of like repeat too often, of course, you know? It's like it kind of gets boring. I mean, a good example of this is AC/DC. And I'm not saying they're a bad band. They're great. They're a great band, and you can
Oh, they
always
suck.
listen
No,
to it
I'll
when you're
say
at a
it. They suck.
concert.
I fucking hate AC/DC.
Okay. I know. I mean, the thing is, I'm not talking about my personal taste. I never listen to AC/DC because it's not my
Yeah,
type, and
yeah,
I'm trying to speak of it mostly objective. No,
right.
it's a very popular band, and every time you have an AC/DC cover band, everybody's going to go to see the AC/DC cover band. But the thing is, every single song is exactly the same. No, when I started playing bass, no, I can't remember which AC/DC song it was, but I memorized one single bass line, and I could play that bass line to every single ACD song, every single one.
Yeah,
Not technically that I'm not saying that the bass lines in all songs are super identical, but their song structure is in each song so identical, at least for the bass. You could take one bass line and play that to every single song. The only thing you have to kind of notice is, okay, here I have to play Achtelnoten, no, here Viertelnoten, no, and just see how fast basically you play the notes. That's the only thing you have to kind of have a feeling for. But other than that, and the same thing is even the structure.
yeah.
Every single song is the same. And that is something quite often you probably notice as a musician. What you don't when you are not a musician. And also the thing is when it comes to being a music fanatic or whatever, no? Um, for a very long time, I was very super hardcore with punk rock and metalcore and all of that. And actually, the crazy thing is that all started to die, to go down with me. Actually, when I actually started to become a musician and started actually making my own music and doing it kind of, somewhat semi-professionally, it was just like I didn't see music that extreme anymore. And also, very often, it was not like I listened to music all the time. Back in the day, I was like, I listened to metal night in and day out. No? Now, it's occasionally mostly like a song here, a song there. When I'm driving in the car, of course, I listen to heavy metal. But I mean, being a musician definitely changes the way you view music. That's without a question.
Mhm. I think, I think for me, it's especially with metal. There's this kind of, I wouldn't call it new because it's been happening since probably, I don't know, forever. But there's a raw quality to metal that when you hear it on a recorded album, it somehow feels more real. Like not as clean, not as perfect. There's something about that. It's kind of like the old Black Sabbath, Metallica, some of the early death metal stuff that came out of Florida back in like
Yeah.
the 90s and stuff. There's a very rough quality to it. And I guess you could say black metal too. Like almost as if it's like one take. There's a roughness in that and a power in that that you can't recreate if you're striving for absolute perfection with metal. A lot of the stuff that's out now, and I'm not going to name names because I mean, even some of the bands that do it, I actually love, but it's so perfect. It is from beginning to end, and you can hear a guitar solo, and you can hear a riff, and you can hear the song put together. And to me, now that I'm doing this stuff, it sounds like a patchwork quilt.
Yeah.
Sounds like a
Yeah.
patchwork quilt. It's just pieces, sometimes 2 to 3 seconds, that are recorded and then crammed into the mix. And it sounds like a big piece, but if you have a trained ear, you can hear the fact that that stuff is cut up for perfection. And it just fucking ruins it for me.
Of course, that's because that's how a lot of songs are produced. That's how they do it,
Yeah,
you know.
I get
And
it.
a,
I
a
get it.
lot of
But
other a lot of other genres. I mean, there's a lot of genres where I would say that it's worse, but there's all this thing that specifically what does this is metalcore. You know,
yeah,
they have been doing this very specifically. They have this extreme, crystal clear sound. What I mean, of course, you want a good sound quality, no, but still just like you say, the perfect crystal clear sound a lot of metal bands have today is not really fitting to the genre. But that's just the way it went down. That's just a way how things are done. What do you like say with cutting things up? Yeah, I guarantee you, not necessarily in metal, but in the most styles of music, that's how it's done. In the most styles of music, they don't even use any kind of instrument to make music. No, specifically,
Well, I mean, so
I might get hate for this,
you're
specifically hip hop.
taking it a step further in the yeah, yeah. So I was about to say, you're taking it a step further and even calling that stuff music. Like, if you're a horror fan and you listen to hip hop, I'm not like dissing on anybody or anything like that, but I don't even consider that stuff music anymore.
It isn't.
To me,
It
it's
isn't.
not. Like,
It
it's
isn't. The
not.
thing is,
There's no arrangement. There's no actual instrument being played. Um, it's
no.
so overproduced. I mean,
It's. I
it's
mean,
out of the
it's for
can music.
one. It's
It
over.
is. And I
Just like you
hate
say.
that because I feel like metal is
Yeah.
going that way too.
To a certain degree, yes, but hip hop is just how should I say it? Thing is, I've always despised hip hop because I could never see any creativity in hip hop, not at all. Because even when it came to the '80s stuff like Run DMC, I was like, yeah, okay, that's kind of cool. But other than that, hip hop is the absolute generic, most mediocre music that has ever existed in human history. Anyone,
Well, you
literally,
call it music. I don't even call it
yeah,
music, dude.
yeah,
Like I can't.
anyone can make hip hop music.
Yeah,
Literally, that's why I see. How should I mean? I'm gonna get hate. I admit it. I despise hip hop as an art form. I despise it. I'm gonna
yeah,
be honest, fully honest with it. The only creative thing you have in hip hop is lyrics. That I'm gonna give them that. No, that is a certain degree. You have to have a certain talent to do that. But everything else, I despise hip hop as an art form.
yeah,
Fundamentally, not only the music, fundamentally, the entire culture surrounding the music is fundamentally sexistic, homophobic, anti Semitic, full out racist. And it really bothers me, it fully fucking bothers me that in today's society, we are acting like super fucking progressive, but people still listen to hip hop.
yeah.
Might I might get hate for saying this, Matt, but
I don't care.
that's my take on
Well,
it.
I mean, I'll say this. Like, there's something that a lot of people probably don't know, but I grew up in Alabama in the '80s and early '90s, and there was metal. I mean, at the time, I was listening to Black Sabbath and Pantera and stuff like that, but I also listened to rap. So I actually really enjoyed bands like NWA. I like absolutely love those guys because and a lot of the beats, okay, were electronic. That's a given, whatever. But there was a
Yeah.
lot of talent in the lyrics. And there was a lot of really deep thoughts that went into that music. And for that reason alone, I can praise that for talent and for an actual realization of the struggles that people had to go through to make that music. I can appreciate.
Exactly.
But there was a time after that. So you had Cypress Hill, you had NWA, you had a couple of other really good rap groups that the lyrics were compelling and they were really good. And I give all the credit in the world to that. And I still go back and listen to it sometimes. Me and Chrissy were listening to NWA 2 days ago up on the balcony, and she was like, "Holy shit, I've never heard this before." And I'm like, "Yeah, the lyrics are deep. There's a lot going on there, and it talks about the struggles of everyday life of being a person that lives where those guys lives and the racism that they had to put up with and stuff like
Yeah.
that." That was music, and it had feeling, but it
Yeah,
ended
but that
being
also
that probably late '90s.
in the '90s. In the '90s, but stuff like Cypress Hill and NWA, in my opinion, they're exceptions, no? And that also comes down to what I said. The only thing I could, to a certain degree, give hip hop as an art form is lyrics, no?
Yeah.
And that is where it stops. I mean, when I'm not talking like singular hip hop artists, no? I'm talking like I grew up differently, Matt. The thing is, in Germany, when I grew up, what was popular? Hip hop, pop, and Schlager. Fact. Even of course, even during the early 2000s. Huh? What?
It's fucking Germany, dude. You're never gonna get rid of Schlager. That's
Yeah.
just that's gonna
Yeah.
haunt us until the end of the world.
Exactly. But Schlager didn't really bother me. Everybody I knew in school mostly either listened to hip hop,
Yeah.
techno, The only rock music a lot of people listened to was Böse Onkels. No? And I never liked it.
Who?
No? Because Böse Onkels.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And at that time, I listened to punk rock mainly. Sex Pistols, Bad Religion, and The Offspring, of course. So, of course, at the time, I always liked what everybody hated, because that's the way hip-hop fans, they hate usually any form of rock music.
Yeah,
no?
of course.
And if you see, like, hip-hop fans talking about rock music, it's like, you have no fucking taste, what they call rock music. I'm sorry. No? But, even at the time, I just grew up as the only person, even among my friends, that really listened to rock, and later on started listening to metal. And for of course, everywhere I could go to have a party was usually hip hop, or techno. And because I always hated it, I, even growing up, developed a strong hatred for the music and the culture around it itself. Because even back in the time, compared to all of my other friends, I could actually understand the lyrics, specifically from American hip hop bands. No? And it's just like, I mean, how should I say it? No? If I listen to a lot of hip hop lyrics, not all, I'm not saying they're all this way, but this is something that, in my opinion, is a systematic problem in hip hop culture itself. It started in the 90s, and that's way till nowadays. Not only are the things I said previously, accepted, in a lot of cases, they're celebrated. Prime example of this is 50 Cent. And I don't care what people tell me, no? This guy in the early 2000s was celebrated. And if you read he's from Chicago, and I'm also from Illinois.
Right.
So I can understand Illinois slang to a certain degree.
Right.
And just like his song Candy Shop, that's basically suck my dick, bitch. Is like, I'm sorry. I mean, and that's all his music is about. You can't convince me otherwise. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And I mean, the only rapper that I would say I didn't hate was Eminem, because he also has very good lyrics. That's the only rapper.
Absolutely. Like I have no problem with that guy to this day at all.
Yeah, me neither.
No.
I have no problem with Eminem. I don't like his music, but if I listen to his songs and look at his lyrics, like, yeah, okay. But I think I ranted too much about hip hop.
Well, it's mostly comical. I mean, it's hard to hate him because his shit is funny. He's a funny guy.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Like,
Eminem, of course. Yeah,
hilarious.
Yeah, exactly. And I just said, I just want to say, just in general, I think in this video I ranted way too much about hip hop.
No, it's okay. Like this started, talking about metal and how it's so clean now. Like it's polished and clean and overproduced to the point to where, for me, it becomes unlistenable. Sometimes there are some bands that for me are completely unlistenable, because I'll listen to, and this what gets me about this is these are the same bands that are complaining that other bands are not real metal, right? And like I said, I'm not gonna throw names out there because I don't want to do that. But there is a group of people in metal who, and follow me on this, they will say that band is not real metal, that band is not real metal. That's not true metal. What we do is true metal, and it's underground, and we're keeping it real, right? How many times have you fucking heard that shit? These same fucking bands, all the time. These same fucking bands have music on Spotify, dude. Like, if you're on Spotify, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, you're
exactly,
dude. You're not true metal. And by the way, your music is so fucking polished. It is so fucking polished that it sounds like a patchwork quilt looks. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. As a metal musician, you cannot go in there and say, oh, we're real, we're true. If everything that you do sounds so polished that it sounds like it came out of a can, and I hate to say it, that's fucking 80 to 90% of bands now.
Yeah. But the thing is, it's not only what you just said, of course, this, kind of thing. It's not metal musicians. There are a lot of bands that do that. Obviously, what I think is ridiculous, but it's also the metal fans, for example.
Of course.
Yeah. And it's just like this thing, like everybody forcefully wants metal to be this underground and blah, 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 and whatever. No. And it's once there also there's certain kind of people within the fans. If a band gets big or popular in mainstream to a mainstream degree, all of a sudden they suck.
Yeah.
I mean, you can like or dislike them. Perfect example of this is Korn. I know you don't like them. I like Korn, even though it's technically new metal. When Korn started coming around, and they started around, oh, this is like the newest shit, and blah, blah, blah. That's how people acted. But once they became mainstream popular, everybody hated them, the entire metal scene.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, same thing. Not necessarily metal. Green Day. When they started out, this is like, oh, the best punk band ever. But once they become popular, the entire scene hated them. Even though, for example, a good example of this, Korn never really changed their style. You can kind of say something about the sound quality or their songwriting, but they actually, up until like 2008, 2010 or whatever, never really changed the music they made. No? And so and Green Day, exactly the same. A lot of people are going to tell you, yeah, they sold out, they became pop. No, what they always did was always just basically pop with punk elements, basically. No?
Right.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this...
I say let people like what they like. I don't really care if you think Slipknot is a fantastic fucking band. I'm not going to argue with you. You know what I mean? Like, if anything, every band is a piece of the puzzle to liking the whole thing, right? Everything has its place. And if you don't like it,
of course,
that's fine. I'm not going to sit here and trash a band and say they fucking suck because they're relevant. People like them, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Let people like what they like. But if a band gets popular doing what they've always done and haven't changed it up, the only reason you don't like them is because you're hating on them.
True.
That's what it comes down to.
That's true. And just like, I mean, the entire thing is ridiculous. This is not real metal. This is not real metal. For me, it's the same discussion as genres. It's equally as ridiculous. It's just, and it's just like, even when I speak with metal fans, you know, it's like they know like sometimes the name of every single musician in the band. They know, and this is a discussion I had at a party a few months ago. Now, I was talking to like this guy, a diehard metal fan, and he was, oh yeah, you young guy, and blah blah blah. And the guy is like 5 years older than me. He's not even in his 50s yet. And then like, I mean, to the one thing I think, okay, great. No, I only have a few gray hair, Mac. No, but if guys like that call me like, oh, you young guy, and I'm like, you're 5 years older than me, dumbass.
Yeah.
No, and then we started talking about him like, you know, like metal. No, and then he's like, yeah, I remember when I was a kid, we all listened to metal. And one day after summer vacation, they were all listening to techno, these portrayers and blah blah. And I'm like, oh my god. I mean, we were both a little bit hammered, but at that point, I was always thinking, oh my god, one of these guys. And and then he was talking about multiple bands, and then one band, a singer died. And I didn't know the name of the lead singer. The thing is, even if my favorite band's Matt, I cannot tell you their names. Fact. I can barely tell you the names of Killswitch
Engage. If I really
Parkway.
Fucking like a band, I can probably tell you one member of the band's name.
Yeah. For me too, it's like I know from Killswitch Engage, Jesse, the singer, and from Parkway Drive, I don't know any of their names. But who cares? That's what the thing is.
That doesn't matter. Like, just because you don't know the name of a fucking person in the band or the lead singer's name, you're not a fan. That's horseshit. It's all just music.
Yeah, exactly. That's where this discussion went down, because he said something like, the name of the guy died. He says, and he's like, you know who that? And I asked him, okay, who is that again? Because I wasn't sure what band the guy belonged to. And he's like, what? You don't know that? I'm disappointed of you. And I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. Then you're fucking disappointed. I don't give a shit. I didn't say it, of course, but that's also a specific type of person where I'm kind of like, how should I say it? And these type of people, specifically in the metal scene, give metal itself, in my opinion, a bad name. They make all heavy metal guys look like these fanatic idiots that have nothing else in life than just the music they listen to.
Yeah.
And to a certain degree, you have those people in every scene, in every type of music.
Yeah, you do.
But for some reason, the people that were that way in the metal scene that I've met, they just make it, I don't know, a little bit worse, to a degree where it almost becomes kind of religious.
Yeah.
If you understand where I'm
going. We've talked about that. we've talked about that ad nauseum, about the fact that fans are probably the worst thing to happen to anything, whether it's horror movies or music or whatever. The fans are the ones that take everything way out of proportion and kind of ruin it for everybody else, because there's this gatekeeper thing. And we've talked about this before. It's like you like something, right? And somebody else likes the same thing, but you really like it. So automatically, as human beings, we have this need to want to overhype things and put it on this pedestal and say, this is that, and this is the ultimate that. And if you're not this, then you're garbage. And so basically what that does to younger people who are just getting into this kind of stuff, right? You and I have been metalheads for, I don't know, 30 years or more, right? We get it. We understand. We've been through this entire these decades of music, and we've heard all this different kind of stuff, and we hear something new. And I think when I hear something new that hasn't been done before, I listen closely, and I'm like, okay, this is new and it's different. Let's see what this is all about, right? Um, you're some of the people that are our age are like, no, that's fucking trash. It's not real. It's not true. You shouldn't listen to this. And if you listen to this, you're a fucking idiot. And there are people our age that are doing that to younger would-be metalheads who were 13, 14, 15, 16, young adults. And they automatically shit all over this stuff because everybody else above them who they look up to is telling them it's trash. And that doesn't give any bands a chance. And I
Yeah, but
hate
that
that
has
shit.
but that has very rarely things. But that doesn't not really have much to do with gatekeeping, because you
No,
said
okay, so gatekeeping
because
is a little bit different, but yeah.
yeah, but the thing is, yeah, of course, because gatekeeping, I would say I'm half. How should I say it? It's that is another complicated thing when it comes to fans, because to a certain degree, keeping is okay if you don't take it too far. Star Wars is a prime example of this. If there would have been more gatekeeping in Star Wars, I'm sorry, Star Wars would still be good.
Yeah.
I mean, half the people making Star Wars now, half the people that are praising all the modern Star Wars things, don't even like it. They
No.
don't even watch Star
Mm-mm.
Wars movies.
No.
I've had multiple of these
I see what you
discussions with
mean.
people, no mainstream people, where they're like, for example, no, oh, I think it's a great thing that now a woman is a Jedi, or a woman could be a Jedi. For one, to start out, no, there are like 400 books made in the Star Wars universe, and if you read one of them, you know that's bullshit.
Yeah.
Next, if I ask them, okay, have you watched one of the sequel trilogy? Oh, no, not yet. I'm not really interested in Star Wars.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that is what I'm talking about. I mean, you don't see that happen in metal or music much as you do in movies, but that is the thing where I would say, to a certain degree, a little bit of gatekeeping would have not been bad at this point.
Right.
No?
Yeah.
And so the thing is, in music, or specifically metal fans, the gatekeeping is just brutally extreme.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it is.
to the point where it also kind of where you say, like, if you listen to this band and this band and this band, you're not a real metal fan. Or it's just like, oh, just like you said, no, what? You listen to that shit? That's not real metal. Gatekeeping is super extreme when it comes to genres. Oh, that's not black metal. Oh, no, that's
Yeah.
not metalcore. Oh, that sucks. What? That has clean singing. That's definitely not dumb. That kind of dumb shit.
Yeah.
No, that is that is, a lot of people do it, musicians and fans as well. What is fucking ridiculous?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah, you're right.
but let's say, for example, if a metal band, no, would only use electronics, no normal instruments, no, would basically not even be playing metal riffs anymore, for example, no, then it would be justified if these people would go and say, that's not metal.
Yeah.
They do.
Yeah. Yeah. That's just it. Everybody's got their own definition of what everything is, man. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
we talked about this last time with melodic death
Yes.
metal and metalcore. It's like
Yeah.
there's so
Because
many elements
there never
of
actually
both
really was much difference between
genres
the two.
in both genres. I just I don't care. Like I'm beyond the point of giving a fuck if anybody else likes what I like or not. You know what I mean? Because here's the other thing.
Oh,
If you're not a musician, right? And you don't know what musicians have to go through to create music and to put it all down on track vocals, track guitar, track everything, songwriting, putting it together, sending it to mix, getting a product out, then honestly, what the fuck are you doing judging anything? the fuck are you doing judging anything? Like, okay, so you don't like it. Okay, everybody's got a right to not like something. Everybody's got a right to think something is not cool, but to trash it for everybody else when you yourself have no idea what goes into that, you're just a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
You're just a
A
fucking
good
idiot.
example of that, one thing that you get off hate in the metal scene, no. Another band that's a prime example of that, no. Nickelback. Everybody hates it, no. Everybody's like, this is like the, I mean, Nickelback, Bon Jovi, good examples. Nickelback is just like the modern day version of Bon Jovi, no.
Yeah.
I like Bon Jovi. I still do to a certain degree. No, I like him. No, but it's not really like I'm a fan. No,
Yeah.
Nickelback never really fazed me much, but it's fucking hilarious. Now, because Nickelback, everybody hates it, no matter who you talk to. No, but still, they're like the most listened rock band in the world. Every single fucking concert they play is kind of booked out or whatever, and it's like,
Yeah.
honestly, how much do you people really hate them? Honestly, I'm sorry.
That stuff is the ultimate type of comedy for me though, because Nickelback, those guys write music that is catchy as fuck. I hate it. Don't get me wrong. I hate it. But I personally don't like them. But I will also admit that I know the words to all their songs.
I don't.
Yeah, because that shit plays on the radio and it's written to stick in your head. It's an earworm. Like they write their shit and you know what song it is. You know what the lyrics are because you've heard it a million times and it sticks in your head. It's from a songwriting standpoint, it's brilliantly done. If they're
Yeah.
good musicians, that's debatable. But I'll tell you what, Corey Taylor fucking hates them, and that guy's not quiet about it. Chad Kroeger, the lead singer of fucking Nickelback, and fucking Corey Taylor from Slipknot, they absolutely fucking hate each other, dude. And if you go back,
I know, it's hilarious.
oh my god, dude, it is the best comedy. If you go back and look at like their back and forth online, it's like high school, dude. It's like fucking high school, and these guys are in their 50s.
It's hilarious. I do. I agree with you. It's the best comedy.
Yeah. It's the best. I love watching musicians go at each other because there gets to be this point as a musician, I think. I don't know. Our band is somewhat popular, but we're not those fucking guys. Right. So both of their bands are super fucking popular, and there's this pissing contest between both lead singers. Corey Taylor thinks that their music comes out of a can and it's poorly written and it's garbage and everybody hates it, but they're outselling Slipknot. They're outselling Slipknot when they do shows. They have bigger crowds. They make more money. Corey Taylor fucking hates that. So the only thing that he can do is insult the shit out of Chad Kroeger. And every time he does, Chad Kroeger comes back with a reply that's just as worse. And the back and forth, dude, I could just sit there for hours and listen to it. It's fucking fantastic.
I love it. I mean, it is ridiculous, but I love it.
Yeah.
I mean, I just love it. And the thing is, I remember one interview. Chad Kroeger is his name. I'm going to be honest.
It's Kroeger, I think.
mean, I know Corey Taylor, but I just knew the guy as the singer from Nickelback. But it's just fucking hilarious. I see this one interview. Yeah. He was like, yeah, I think they're ridiculous. I mean, because they have this mask gimmick. I think it's so ridiculous when a band needs a gimmick, because if your music is really good, you don't need a gimmick to save it. And that's what I mean. The singer of Nickelback said. No, he didn't really say it the way I said it. He said it with a very calm voice.
I remember reading about it.
Yeah. But it was just he said it with a calm voice, just his opinion, fine. But Corey's Taylor reaction to that was like literally the best thing since sliced bread. I mean,
exactly what you're talking about, dude. He was like, yeah, Corey Taylor. He was like, yeah, that fucking Chad Kroeger guy. He's got a face and a head like a foot. He looks like a foot.
Oh, I love it.
Like,
I love it.
And who gives a fuck what a foot has to say?
I mean, it's like, it's just
Great
so
comedy,
ridiculous
great
because I mean, it's great comedy, but it's just like I don't understand these people how they see that way, because they're both like two of the most successful musicians in rock and metal. They are both like, I mean, I don't know. They both have super hot wives. They have a great life going for them. Why do they even care about this shit? I mean,
I honestly think I honestly think those two guys really do hate each other, but I think that you to be that successful in music, not just metal, but to be that successful in music, you have to realize that negative press and any type of press and any type of controversy is great for your band.
Of course. I mean,
It
Matt,
is.
Matt,
It's
Matt,
great. That's
Matt,
why they do it.
Matt, you know that of course, I've been telling you that since you joined our band. You remembered?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so the thing is, yeah, because I'm also that way. A lot of people, specifically on the internet, oh my god, I'm getting hate. Oh my god, we can't do that because we'll get hate. No. And even though I agree there are certain lines you should not overstep, because of course, obviously, if we would have a controversy one way or another, no, I would actually be happy about it because my first thought would be, okay, how can we make this work for us? That would be. I'm going to be fully honest.
I think
Be my
everybody, I
first
think
thought.
everybody in the band feels that way too.
Huh?
That's just it. So, and a lot of the time, I'm not gonna mention the instance, but we have had controversy recently, right? Um, at a live show, we didn't do anything wrong. We didn't do anything wrong,
Oh,
but something happened, and because of that, we got booked at another show that's huge that we still can't mention yet. But because of that controversy, they were like, "Well, fuck yeah, man, let's book these guys. That's fucking awesome." So you're absolutely right. It can work in your favor, and with those guys, it definitely works in their favor because everybody's talking about that little fight they got going on, dude, and it doesn't stop. And it just makes you want to go listen to the music more if you're like a casual
yeah,
listener.
yeah. Well, people are really talking about that fight.
Yep. Oh, dude, they always have. It's a thing. Like you can go on YouTube right now and look up fucking Nickelback versus Slipknot, and there's thousands of videos.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about us, but you're
Oh
talking
no, no,
about
no.
Nickelback and Slipknot.
No,
Yes. Yeah.
that controversy thankfully was kept under wraps for the most part. That was just between us and the organizer, right? But because other
Yeah.
people that are in the metal business saw that and realized that that happened, we got booked at a bigger gig because of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it starts small that way. Even though we didn't do anything wrong, somebody else took notice of it and we're like, okay, yeah, fuck yeah, let's
Yeah.
book those
Yeah.
guys, you know?
Yeah.
So it can work in your favor. It can work in your favor. It's just you can't make a public fight and argument everybody else's drama. That's the big thing. Like if you want to make fun of it, which I honestly do believe maybe Corey Taylor and Chad Kroger know that their fighting back and forth is being talked about by everybody, and that's why they
They
keep
know it.
doing it. Because
They
I
know it.
can't imagine two popular bands like that really hating each other that much.
No, no. I mean, the thing is, I mean, I do personally. I am absolutely convinced both of them know. Both of them know it. No, I mean, to get that far, one thing you are not is, in my opinion, stupid. When it comes to music, when it comes to I mean,
Yeah.
Hollywood actors. To be a successful actor, you can be a complete fucking idiot. So success when it
Oh,
comes to
obviously.
movies and
Yeah,
acting.
obviously.
Yeah, obviously. No, but when it comes to music, how should I say it? The music industry itself is different in certain ways, and I do not. I think that both of them are probably not necessarily very smart, but at least normal, intelligent level guys. No,
They'd have to be. You
I don't
can't
know
be
them personally, so I
successful like
can't say
that and
anything
not be
bad about
somewhat
them.
intelligent.
Yeah, but I do
Yeah.
think that they both are fully aware of what their online fightings do, how people talk about them, and they're both fully aware that it works in their favor, and they're both fully that's the reason why they do it. And it could be that even
Yeah.
Corey Taylor and Chad Kruger, when they see each other privately, might not be friends, but they get along. They're like, "Hi, how are you doing? Yeah, fine, hi," and then they
Yeah.
keep walking their ways. But they fully know that these internet fights fucking benefit both of them, and they do it for that reason.
Of
I'm
course.
convinced
Of
of
course,
that.
you would have to. It's not like the old days where you had like let's say like the late 80s where Guns N' Roses was touring with Metallica and they hated each other, right? Because you didn't have the internet and you didn't have these internet fights. But the fights that they did have were very public and they were very open with the press about how much they hated each other. And that created a controversy, but even that was enough to get enough media attention on Metallica and enough media attention on Guns N' Roses to get them booked more. That happened. And now you can imagine because we have the internet, it's tenfold because anybody can see it. And you can be more in depth with it because these internet fights can go on for a while between bands. And people eat that shit up, dude. I personally, like I said, I love it. I love watching Corey Taylor insult uh Chad Kroger. And the thing with Philip Anselmo too. Um, if anybody thinks that Pantera was actually hurt by what Philip Anselmo did, which I'm not condoning what he did, the guy did something really stupid. But if anybody thinks that hurt them, you're crazy because Pantera blew up after that again, right? And any band that Philip Anselmo was in, their numbers went up like crazy after that. Any controversy, bad or good, is good for the band. Period. Anyway, dude, we're like around 2 hours, so I got nothing else, and I got to walk some dogs. What do you got?
No, me neither. I have nothing else. Yeah, I mean, my ferrets are now starting to wake up, so yeah,
Okay.
probably gonna have to take
I'm
care of them.
surprised I haven't seen one of them. It's probably because we haven't said Freddy yet.
Yeah, yeah, probably, and probably it's just the time they usually get. They usually wake up between 5 to 7, and of course, in the other episode, we were constantly saying Freddy, so he came. Usually, when we're watching one or two of them, occasionally runs around to see. Okay, two dumbasses are talking in the room. What are they doing? Like multiple
Yeah.
times. As one of the episodes when we were recording it, one of the girls came in, just was sitting next to my chair, looking up at me like, "What the fuck are you doing, dumbass?" And then she ran off again.
I keep my dogs upstairs because my German Shepherd would be in my ear the entire time I was trying to do this.
Yeah,
Because she thinks if dad's talking and he's being loud in any way, that she has to do the same thing. So she's like up in my ear next to my head, like,
yeah.
well, like what's going on? I have to keep her and the rest of the dogs upstairs because if I get animated, they get animated too. Anyway, so I guess we'll close this out, dude.
Yeah.
Got anything else?
No, not really. So far, we're at the end of the episode, and what we said multiple times. If you like our podcasts, just leave us, follow us on Spotify, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. No, and other than that, so far, we're at the end today, and me and Mike. Nah, I wish you all guys a nice evening.
Yeah. I'm Matt. See you guys later till the next episode.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.